Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope everybody is enjoying October so far. It's not so bad. Although, this guy right here has a cold. Not a great way to spend October so far, but the good thing about it, as I clear my throat, the good thing about it though is by the time Halloween comes around, I'm sure I'm going to be over this and I'm going to actually be able to enjoy Halloween. So, sucks that I have a cold, but cross our fingers, hopefully it will be gone by Halloween. I'm not shooting a video talking about my cold. One thing I wanted to do this year for Halloween, this year for October on YouTube, was something I did last year and it didn't quite work its way out, and it didn't work out the way I really wanted it to. And that was the spooky ghost chain story. Last year, for one reason or another, it didn't really work out, but I'm going to try it again this year. We're going to do things a little bit different. And on board, helping me with this, is some really cool guys. What is the ghost chain story that you ask? If you are new to this channel, maybe you weren't here last year. Spot, I don't understand. What's this chain story you speak of? Well, allow me to elaborate. Clear my throat again. I'm so sorry. The spooky ghost chain story, if you've ever done a chain story when you were younger, the idea is you would tell a part of a story and then you would cut it off, and then a next person would tell us a part of that same story, and so on and so on and so on, until you eventually get a very long, hopefully consistent, you get a very long ghost story. And it's really neat because each person contributes and adds their own thing to it. They add their extra little bit of flavor. So we're going to do this year. If it's a big success, we're going to do it next year as well. And we're going to try to maybe do this as an annual thing that you can look forward to, hopefully, on this channel. So the ghost chain story, even though it's on YouTube, we're going to do it the exact same way as a normal chain story would work. And the idea is that this guy right here, old Sickie, is going to start the first part of the story. I'm going to start the story. I'm going to basically start from the very beginning, and I'm going to tell about a 5 to 10 minute story. At the very end of my part, at least, I'm going to actually abruptly cut it off. We don't know necessarily where it's going to get cut off, but we're going to cut it off, and you're going to know it's been cut off because it's just going to stop. As a good example, if some of you guys don't understand maybe necessarily what's going on here, say for example, this isn't going to happen, but say for example, the character goes up the stairs and opens the door, and he hears a scream and quickly turns on the light to find, cut it off right there. And you would say, to find what? That's where the second part of the ghost story happens, where the next person on my list, I've got a list of people here, can't see it, it's down there. That's where the second person on the list of reviewers is then going to tell the next part of the story. And then they're going to tell a 5 to 10 minute story. They're going to cut it off, just as abrupt as what I just gave you as an example. They're going to cut it off, and then the next person is going to give their part, and so on and so on and so on, until we have one long story. I'm going to start the very beginning of the story, and I'm actually going to end the story as well. And we're going to do this through the whole month of October, and hopefully by the end of October, right around the time of Halloween, the story will be complete. And then I invite you guys, the viewers, to come on, maybe around Halloween or on Halloween, that would be kind of cool, and actually watch this ghost story. So we're going to see how well it goes. If it is really successful, we're going to do it next year as well. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. We've still got to get through this year. So, couple of rules for the people that are participating. Piece of paper that you can hear down here. I've got 10 people that signed on and said, hey, you know what, Spot, that's a great idea. I'll give it a try and see how things go. I'm going to give it a taste and see if I like it. I got 10 people that are going to be participating in the 2010 TheReviewSpot Spooky Ghost Chain Story. So for you 10 individuals watching this video, what I will need from you guys Not much of in the way of rules, but what I'm going to need from you guys is the following. I'm going to tell the 5 to 10 minute ghost story. I'm going to cut it off, and then whoever is next in line, whoever's number 2, whoever draws number 2, it's not a draw, I've already picked them. I'm actually going to, but what I need from you though is when you start your video, if you could refrain from saying, most people would start a video and they would say, hey, I'm Josh Lego Guy for, I'm doing a video response to the Review Revolution or the Review Spot. I'm sorry, Revolution. I'm sick. I'm doing a video response to the Review Spot's Spooky Ghost Chain story. I'm now doing part 2. And then they start their video. If you could try to refrain from doing this, what I ask from you guys is, if you're going to do a video response to this, or if you're next in line on the list, post in your details down below. This is a video response to, Review Spot. Here's the original link if you want to check it out. But in the video itself, when you're actually starting the video, start the video right from where that part of the story ended. That way it's completely, there's no interruptions. It's going to go straight through. So for example, if I say the character walks up the stairs, opens the door, switch on the light, and then all of a sudden, your video should start with, he spots, a dog. It's not maybe that interesting, but so start the video actually with the next part of the story. Try to, please, don't put, this is a video response to this, because as the viewers out there on YouTube, the idea is then when Halloween rolls around, they can watch one part and then click the next link to the next part, and the story should continue itself through without any interruptions. The other thing that I ask is don't feel necessarily like you have to give a lot to the story. Your part may very well just be, he spots something outside and he runs down the stairs, he puts on his jacket, he opens up the door, grabs a flashlight and shines it out into the forest and doesn't see anything. As he puts his flashlight down, he turns around and then that would be your part. Because I think last year, maybe it was the way I described it, or maybe the way I didn't explain it properly. Some people actually tried to wrap the story up. So if you were like part 3, they would say, the guy turned around, shunned his flashlight, and there was nobody there, turned around, some guy killed him, the end. We don't want that. We don't want to cut the story off, because the idea is we want to expand this out to 11 parts. So don't feel the need to add a lot to your story. Actually, the smaller your bit is and the less going on, the more it will add together with the other parts to make a really good story. The other thing as well, I don't think you guys would do this, but the other thing as well is don't try to go too far off out there in the way of ideas. If for example the character is walking through the forest and the setting is more of a realistic kind of world, I wouldn't necessarily have him turn around and a giant vampire dinosaur bites his head off, or something like that, because it would then go from regular real world, and then all of a sudden it would just go, what? And viewers would be like, what's going on? And then of course the next person who does the part after you won't know what's going on. So try to keep your part relatively small. Like I said, 5 to 10 minutes is fine. Don't feel necessarily like you have to go, you have to really advance in the story, because your part, again, is a smaller part to a bigger story. And then, like I said, at the very end, I'll wrap the story up, and then we've got ourselves a very nicely packaged story. So those are the rules. Not really much in the way of rules, but when you start your video from the point of the story. Leave out anything like this is a video response, this is so-and-so doing a video. Just put all that information down in your details. The people actually on this list, so if you're, for example, number 2, and you shoot your video, Number 3, your job will then be to check the list, find out where you fall on the list, and then based on that list, watch that person's video. So if you're number 3, if you're Lego guy, Josh, whatever, if you're number 3, keep watching this person's channel who's number 2 to see when he posts his part. When he posts his part, then post your video after his. And then what we're going to do is, for each person that puts their part in, if you're number 2, you would put my part 1 as a link in your description. If you're number 3, you're going to put the link to number 2 and number 1. If you're number 4, 3, 2, 1. So you're always going to be putting the links for the previous stories in your detailed description. So whoever's watching your video can then go back and watch the previous parts and say, okay, and then watch those parts with your part. Seems simple enough? Maybe. Again, we're going to see how things go. So that being said, we've got 10 people participating in this year's spooky ghost chain story. And right now I'm just writing down the numbers on these people so that I can read them off here. The people that are participating, and this is actually the order that these people are going to be shooting their videos in. TheReviewSpot, of course, will be doing part 1 of the ghost chain story. Number 2, part 2, will go to 9 Fires. Great guy, very creative. He writes books, so he should know. He'll probably do an excellent job on this. So 9 Fires, you are number 2. CCG 1171, you, my friend, are part 3. Captain Logan from Geekvolution, fantastic guy. You, sir, are part 3. Part 4 is going to be TheReviewRevolution. That's why I remembered. Yeah, see, there you go. Part 5 is going to go to the Minimate Master 42K. Then followed by that, we're going to have TheEvilProfessor. And after that, we're going to have the Comic Book Lover 44 as the next part of the story. And followed by that is Watchthisreview. And finally, we're going to have TFCalamansi or Calamansi. You are the final part of the spooky ghost chain story. Oh, actually, I forgot. And finally, see, that's why I'm sick. I'm medicated, I'm sorry. Finally, the last part after TFCalamansi, I knew I should have written this down. See, I have a pen in my hand. The last part is going to be from Vince of Geekvolution. So there you go, guys. There is 10 people that you need to be watching through the month of October. There is no deadline, so don't feel necessarily that you have to get your video done in a day or 2 days. We're going to pace it out, so whenever the next person shoots their video after part 1 that you're going to be seeing, the person who's doing part 2, the part 3, just shoot your video, try to get them done as soon as you can, but we have till Halloween. And like I said, if we can get them done before Halloween, hopefully we'll have ourselves a very spooktacular, I'm sure it's a word, very spooktacular ghost chain story. And if it's very successful, again, we're going to do this next year. So those are the people. For anyone who's watching this video, I'm actually going to post that list down below so that you guys know what number you are. Thank you again for those people that have signed up for this. Now, what I would say is after you watch this video, I'm using this pen as a pointer. Actually, that's kind of neat. It's also a Bic Velocity Gel for anyone that cares. For anyone who's watching this video right now, after this video, you'll want to watch the video that follows. And the video that follows is actually going to be the first part of the story. So anyone who's not familiar with how to set it up, just watch the first part of the story, and you'll see that at the beginning of the story, I'll start it completely right at the beginning. I won't make any introduction to it. I'll just read the story, then I'll cut it off, and then the person next in line, which I believe is you, 9 Fires, you'll be doing part 2 to the spooky ghost chain story. So that's it, guys. For anyone who has any comments or questions about the story, they're a little uncertain about it, do comment down below. But I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and I think this kind of participation is going to be something that maybe we might want to do again every single year. So it's the Spooky Ghost Chain Story, guys. Those are the people that are on the list who are participating, and I hope we have a great time doing this. So stay tuned for part 1 of the ghost story, and I will see you guys then. Woohoo!